Well, if all goes to plan and nothing bad happens with its release, awful UI, I'm looking at you, this is going to be my last roller coaster before Planet Coaster 2, so we better design a good one, hadn't we? Oh, you guys, welcome back to Planet Coaster, welcome back to our janky park inspired by Oakwood and Pleasurewood Hills, and it is the penultimate build episode, which means one thing, it's the finale roller coaster, and guys, we are getting perilously close to Planet Coaster 2. Like, it's a little bit bittersweet. It's kind of emotional, but kind of exciting. So this is what we did in the last week's episode, or in last week's episode, should I say. It was our indoor dark ride with this amazing face here. I've come back, by the way, a couple of weeks later, and this still does it for me. But you can see in the background, there she is. I caved, guys. I caved. I absolutely didn't want to do a Woody because it's just so Oakwood. But then you guys were quite vocal with the fact that it should have been a Woody and it should be like Megaphobia. So that's what we've got. I can't remember whether it's Custom Coasters International that did the original Megaphobia. I'd need to look it up. Anyway, this is what we've got. Comes out of the station into the lift hill. A similar turnaround, but rather than Megaphobia, which comes around the outside, I've actually gone down the GCI route and I've sort of put it underneath the lift hill, but ultimately I wanted it to still have the same bend into an airtime hill, into an overbank turn, which I actually think I need to more overbank. I don't think this is actually steep enough. Anyway, whatever, and then into an airtime hill, into a double up, turn around, into a not a final airtime hill, sorry, into another airtime hill which doubles down, into a turnaround, and then this sort of like intentionally meandering middle bit, because I wanted the ending to have a pack a punch, right? So I wanted this bit here to go into airtime hill, turnaround, brake run, but I sort of needed it to meander along the hill a little bit. So that's what it does. It comes into an airtime hill. They are airtime hills, but in terms of the rest of the coaster, it's actually quite tame. And then turn around, and then into these this double down, airtime hill, brake run. Done. You'll also notice there's a supporting ride. I think this is probably going to be the last ride I'm actually going to put in. And I thought, you know, a park like this would probably have something like a tourbillon. It feels like it's a bit of a unique, you know, they tried to put something in, spend some money on something that a bit of a fad. So that's what we've got here, the tourbillon. And we've got a couple of shops that are in here, and I did end up putting in the bridge, so that's what we're working on. This is the whole area. I'm quite excited about this, guys. I'm just gonna go build, and I'll see you in a minute. Oh, guys, all of this progress is a little bit bittersweet, isn't it? Because like, the more you progress, the closer you are to the end, and it's the actual end, isn't it? Like, there is no series after this for Planet Coaster 1. It's onwards and upwards to Planet Coaster 2. And like, sorry for bringing it down and everything. Like, I'm glad that you guys are still here. But yeah, the realization sets in after a while when you're like, actually, this is the park, and this is pretty much how the park is going to end, other than next week when we put stuff in. So anyway, let's talk ourselves off of the edge and let's talk about what we've done, because actually this is another one of those instances where it's turning out a little bit better than I thought it was going to. When I laid down the original foundations and the outlines and stuff, and I was like, I don't think this is going to work. I really don't. This bit here just didn't feel right when I was laying it down, but now I started to actually kit it out and give it its personality. Yeah, it does actually feel right. I kind of wanted this whole area to just come to an end, almost like this might have been a bigger picnic area at one point, hence the reason why the building is positioned as it is. And they actually put the tourbillon on top of it, and yeah, they're just utilizing space rather than expanding the park, so it kind of makes sense. And talking of the tourbillon, this is as simple as I think I want it to be. I've laid down some more pebbles. Viva la Pebbolution! I'm going to talk about the path cover in a minute, because you'll see I'm not happy with it. So we'll talk about the challenges of that in a minute. But I have put the pebbles down. I've just put some flowers down. I've done some foliage a little bit earlier than I normally would, actually. Foliage is normally the last things that go in for me, but I actually needed to feel how this, so I see how this felt, particularly when it came to the rest of the area and stuff. I like it. I'm happy with it. I've also started to make sense of this perimeter fence and a couple of access points to the park, given that there probably won't be an access road going around the outside of the park here, because it'd just be too overkill. So they would probably come through the park this way and along the lake around that side. So I'm just starting to get a feel for how that service and access road is going to be. That's going to be next week's episode anyway, so that's what we're doing here. I've put a fast pass unit in. I have actually just copied across the building from the other side of the park. It just felt like it was consistent. If I, because it's a separate building, if I don't keep this one, I might copy across the one that's at the entrance building instead, just for the consistency part. But this was sort of like the same design style that I wanted to go for in this area, so it sort of made sense. And then I've just started to tidy up this area now. I need to put the foliage and stuff in, so this isn't just going to be exclusively grass and whatever. There's going to be flowers and stuff. But anyway, onto the interesting stuff, because this is the gift shop for the wooden coaster. I didn't want to steal Megaphobia's so I didn't want to, but I ended up stealing it. Megaphobia's shop. It's heavily inspired by it, but it's not entirely stolen. But yeah, I sort of like, I like how it's sitting. And inside, it's just going to be a gift shop, right? You've seen all of the pieces and stuff before. This is, you'll be pleased to know, probably the last time you're going to see me using these pieces. So even though we are coming to the end, it comes with some kind of benefit. And then we've got the photo unit, and that's yeah, a pretty standard photo unit, just waiting for its final decorations and final kitting out. But then we come to the station, and you will be forgiven for thinking that you've seen this before. In fact, you've seen it twice. This is the third time. So it's a repurposed version of the one that was in Reigate Lake. There's a lot of stuff, by the way, from Reigate Lake that's coming into this park for various reasons. This is almost like the park that I wanted Reigate Lake to be, just not on the level of detail that we went into with Reigate Lake, because that was a PC killer. But this is an altered version of the coaster, Tapio, I think it was. Check that out from memory. Can't remember my own name, but I can remember a coaster from 4 years ago. So yeah, it's an altered version of that station. It's not exactly the same, it's not identical, it's edited, but in fact it's edited from Wilderview Muse when I used it for the Mine Train coaster. So it's almost like third generation reuse. It's okay. So as it turns out, re-editing it and reusing it took longer than just building it from scratch, so I wish I'd just done that. But anyway, this God, I'm waffling. The game might change, but the Chacho content won't. So this is the inside of the station. I've started to do all of the detailing and stuff you'd normally find in here, so all the station stuff is here. I need to just put push points in and stuff and all of that sort of stuff, but otherwise it's pretty much done. The exposed beams and whatever are pretty much what I was going for in there, and it's all looking good. And on the outside then, I've just started to do all of the fencing, and up here I've started to do the full path covers, because I've got a challenge when it comes to the hill. I don't know what I'm going to do when it comes to path covers on the hill, because it's not a consistent slope, and I don't really know what I'm going to do, and I'm avoiding getting there. So the maintenance area, let's just go and talk about something more fun. The maintenance area, just like before, it's a third-hand rejig of the original one that was in Reigate Lake, and again, I wish I'd have just started it from scratch. Because, my God, it was such a task. But the maintenance area of Megaphobia is the inspiration here, in the sense that it's a really strange maintenance bay. It's either this track is here or this track is here. So it's like a three-way, what you call it, transfer track, three-way transfer track, where you either have an empty train here or an empty train here. So that's what I've gone for anyway, and I quite like it. Again, it needs its kitting out, it needs some like clutter, it needs some safety fences, it needs the usual stuff, but I'm happy with this as a redesign. Whereas the original, by the way, was much longer. It was like twice the length, and it had a transfer track here, and then the maintenance bay track came right the way back here, and all sorts of stuff. So even Tapio, I think, had that. So this is at least vastly different from the original, but similar enough to be able to reuse the building. Anyway, regrets were made. So we come over to the lake, and then this is the profile of the coaster on the lake. Of course, it's going to need trees and stuff coming in here to give it some personality, but I have continued the lining along here. But because this is essentially on the side of a hill, this would be a bit more steeper. This bank would be steeper. It wouldn't necessarily be a shallow beachy style bank. So what I've done is I've continued the fake wall, if you like, the key wall or quay, depends on where you are in the world. Sorry, I got distracted. I was like, what's the other word? Buoy, boy. It's completely irrelevant to what we're talking about. So this is what happens when, yeah, whatever. Shut up, Chacho. You just get on with it. So I've put in a fence along along this way just to stop guests from falling in. So I know that, like we're saying, janky parks wouldn't necessarily worry too much about health and safety, but this is the one that you would. And then just a couple of life rings and whatever along here just to stop people from like falling in at this point. You wouldn't necessarily stop people going into the water. You wouldn't want to fence the whole way round, for example, but it is what it is. Then I just need to do the the textures and stuff along here, and then again, as I said, the foliage and whatever. So let's talk path covers for the last minute, because this is quite important. I wanted to continue the tarmac along here, but I felt like it needed to be a slightly different area. It felt like it would have its own personality. I was like, oh, okay, so it needs another path cover. But as you can see, the guests' ankles are already clipping through for various reasons. When you're using multiple path covers, you have to layer them on top of each other, and you end up with this kind of effect, right? Where the path cover that you're going into is meant to overlay on the path cover that you're coming out of, so that you've got control of the area, but you end up stepping up over time and you build up height over time. So I need something to bring the height back down in this area, and this is what I'm going for. So I'm actually going to use the Indian sandstone one last time. It's probably a little bit too new and a bit too clean for what I'm trying to achieve in this area, but I think it's still going to be good because I like the Indian sandstone. I need to step the path covers down, and I also need something to interact with the queue line path covers and stuff over here as well, so I need it all to make sense. And there you go, that's how it's looking from the top. I quite like how this is coming together. So whilst I'm inspired, I'm going to go build. I will see you in a minute. Guys, so assuming nothing happens between now and the 6th of November, this is my last coaster completed in Planet Coaster 1. Honestly, guys, it's proper emotional. Like, it really is. I'm trying not to bring the mood down, but it's yeah, it's, as I said, it's in the last update, it's bittersweet, isn't it? But look at this. Yes, I am so chuffed with this. Like, it's Megaphobia all over again, to the point where I've actually called it Max Fear. Not even sorry. If we're going out with a bang, we might as well go hard or go home, right? So yeah, this is what we've got, and I actually really dig this. I quite like now how this sits in the middle of like the hilly wooded area, and how the queue line just wraps itself around the ride and it comes down the hill. We're not going to talk about the path covers because I've had a fight and I've given up. But it sort of wraps around this way and then comes along the pathway. I like it. I love how it sits on the sight line as well. The fact that you walk alongside this bit. And you've got the different interactions with the coaster as you're walking along the path. So like you've got the double up, and you've got this first at a time hill, and you can just about in certain parts see the first drop through the mess of supports, and then from the other side of the lake, there you go. There's the first drop. I kind of wish, by the way, that I did actually put the Woody over here more and actually make more of the bridge that sort of like needed it to be. Because now the series is finished and I'm just going to put a path around here and this bit's all going to be done. But by the way, I didn't want to say this, right? But I'm going to, because it's out there. The Agility Point Hyper that I rejected actually fits quite nicely here. Don't worry, I'm not going to, but you guys need somewhere to put your gigas and hypers right when you download the park, so fill your boots, you've got that side of the lake to use. Right, so station wise, this is a station. It's all completely done. I'm happy with it. It's all kitted out as I wanted it to do. Wanted it to be. It's got all of its station baggage bins now. The push points and stuff and whatever are all in. As I said, I love how this just sort of sits along the side, and how it's on the side of a hill. You sort of see it the most when you're actually here, when you've got the fence and whatever around, and you can just see that it's just tucked into the side of the hill quite nicely. Yeah, it's a good spot. I've chosen a good spot for it. So over in the maintenance area, this has had a bit of a facelift, a bit more work. I kind of figured it needs it needed somewhere to put the electronics, because you don't have electrics around the woodies. So that's why they don't have lights on the lift hills, and they don't have the catwalk clutter and that sort of stuff. You actually have them away from everything, because wood and electric don't mix, right? And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at how many people don't realise that. Those that smoke on piers, are you mad? Stop it. Like, wooden fire? Really? Even Wicker Man couldn't escape. So anyway, we've got ourselves a nice little building. I haven't done inside. Next week is going to be the maintenance area episode, so I'll probably cut out inside here and whatever. But I did actually want this sort of sightline to feel a bit more industrial. It needed to have a bit more to it, right? So I don't know if I'm going to use some more foliage to try and hide this, or whether I'm actually going to keep it on show. But essentially what I did was pulled the shed from the Mac spinner that we did and put this over here. It feels like it would just be something, that a blueprint that they would have on file, and they would just submit the planning application and be done with it, and just go, yeah, we want what we've got over there but in a different location. And that's what we've got here. But anyway, all your usual clutter is now in here, and just a bit of touch-ups. Like, I've added in some steps, I've added in some rails, some like guardrails and stuff to stop people from falling off the sides, making it a safe work area and whatever. But yeah, I'm happy with this. This is looking decent, actually. It's different enough to Tapio and to the original concept for it to be different, but it's also familiar enough for me to go, yeah, okay, job done. And I'm going to stick my thumb up to that. Down on the tourbillon, path cover has gone in. That's about it. I need the next episode to come in and do all the warehouses and stuff that's going to sit here, and of course the car park that's going to be by extension in this area. So that will make all of this contextually all make sense. And yeah, just this idea of it being a former picnic area, a little bit actually like how we did a couple of weeks ago in the forest area with the chloride that we ended up putting in. That was also an old disused picnic area. That would probably be the theme of this park. They just keep adding stuff on picnic areas because they've got the space to do it. Then down this way, do you know what? I did have a load of foliage on this, and I sort of forested it out, and then I stripped it right back. Less is more. The area needed to breathe, and the idea of us going, oh yeah, you need space and you need it to breathe and whatever, I just took it all out. So this is what we've ended up with, and actually I prefer this to what I had. So I'm happier with this. And of course then the fast pass unit is sitting pretty just there, and it just sort of doesn't even bother to hide any of the warehouses and stuff behind it. We're not Disney. We're not going for like mass what am I trying to say? Immersion. So whatever. And then there's the shop, the Max Fish shop. So we're going to come inside here. There you go. So it's just your usual gift shop. I've given it a little bit of a bit of love. So we've got some stuff, you know, like signs and whatever that we've got out, and I've just tidied it up ever so slightly and put some new wallpaper and stuff on here. It feels like the park would possibly make an effort in that space. And then down this way, I've got a really cool poster display. I thought, you know, they would probably have this here and have all of the posters and whatever already up. So that's what that's there for. And then, of course, you've got your photo unit there, which is looking very sorry for itself. And then the exit path, it's just kept nice and simple. It comes down the hill here and then into the actual gift shop itself. And then along the lake, I have done actually quite a bit of work. So I've done all of the terrain work. I've redone the terrain, put all of the trees and stuff in, so it now actually sits quite nicely. So there you go. And you'll notice that there's stuff in the lake and on the lake. I forgot I had all of this stuff that I could have used, or that came from the TMTK workshop. So you've got these ducks. Oh, he's disappeared. Where's he gone? There we go. Ducks. There's two types of ducks. I think it's male and female ducks. And then you've got some swans. And you've also got the fish that we used in the aquarium for Grosvenor Gardens. So they're all there and they're all swimming away. And I've just put them in clusters and whatever. So, yeah, they were, I'm sure, clusters of ducks. Cluster duck. Somewhere. And I can't find them on my... because we used them, didn't we, in Reigate Lake? Doesn't matter, but if I find them, I'll put them in. Over this side, I haven't actually finished yet because, of course, the next episode where we do the final build stuff is all going to tie up this area. I'm toying with the idea of having a pirate ship. I don't know. I might do. I might not. We'll see. We'll see. But I do like this lake. As I said in the last update, this park is actually becoming what I think I wanted Reigate Lake to be. And for me, and my soul, I kind of like that. It's come full circle. It's like I started my channel and the first park was Reigate Lake, and that got a little bit out of hand. It ended up having more episodes than Diddy's got baby oil bottles, but I don't even know if I can say that. But it's nice, right? It's nice it's come full circle that actually this park feels like everything Reigate Lake should have been. Anyway, we're going to go for a ride on the Woody whilst you cancel me. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, then please do. I don't know why you would, because, well, keep putting my foot in it. It's fine. It's fun. It's fun. Planet Coaster 2 is coming. Right, let's go for a ride. Have yourselves a good week. I will see you next week. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye.